In this edition, Albuquerque seniors have two choices when it comes to staying home for college. Chris Bowers will compare the two schools.
Christina Lovato reports on the growing attraction of Cesar Chavez Day right here in Albuquerque.
And there is a new regional sports network created for the Mountain West Conference. If you haven't seen it, you're not alone. Danny Kinzler explains why. I'm Ana Sanchez.
And I'm Kemi Turpin. All this and more on Campus Report.
Local coverage. Student perspectives. At the University of New Mexico, from the KNME studios, this is Campus Report.
High school seniors thinking about going to college in Albuquerque have two main options. Many students may end up attending both. Reporters Chris Bowers spoke to some students on the pros and cons of each school.
Many Albuquerque college students end up completing classes at UNM and CNM. There are many differences between the schools, the biggest being that UNM is a traditional four-year university, where students can graduate with a bachelor's or attend graduate school to get a master's. CNM is a community college where students can choose to pursue a 2-year associate degree or complete a licensure program. Student Stephanie Rivera says CNM is great for starting your college career, but UNM was the key to getting her bachelor degree.
Well, let's see, at CNM, I got 2 associate's degrees, and then I taught an after-school program for a little while and decided that I really wanted more. And so I came back here to UNM to get my bachelor's.
According to the UNM financial aid website, tuition and fees for full-time in-state students averages $4,570 a semester, compared to the average full-time CNM student who will pay roughly $500 a semester. Rivera says price matters when choosing your first college, so CNM is generally first choice.
It's cheaper. I mean, you get the same classes, and a lot of the professors that are over at CNM are professors here too. And so, like, English 101 is the same here as it is there, and it's like half as much.
Price isn't the only thing that shapes the minds of potential students. Parking is a contributing factor too. Parking at CNM is free, with several parking lots to choose from, all of which are located on campus. UNM students don't get the luxury of parking on campus. There are 3 lots located off campus, and students have to ride a shuttle to get to class. There are some metered spots and a parking garage, but they all require payment. A permit for a lot will cost $112 for the year, and that price generally goes up. UNM and CNM student Selena Rosales says parking has its ups and downs on both campuses.
Well, the CNM, they do have the free general parking, which is really nice. The only thing is that parking it's hard to find a spot, especially in the middle of the day. You're having to follow someone to their car to get a spot. But then there's also the parking for the shuttles. It's over $100. I have stood there through 5 shuttles because there's so many people waiting for the shuttle, and it doesn't seem to ever be enough shuttles.
In 2003, UNM opened a newly remodeled student union building known as The Sub. Inside, students can find a sandwich shop, a snack shop, and several mainstream eateries like Pizza Hut, Sonic, and Chick-fil-A. There are places to study and places to hang out, including a pool hall and a small movie theater. Students also have access to a bank and computer labs. The CNM Student Services building houses the school bookstore, a small computer lab, and a small cafeteria-style location to eat. Student Donald Duran says when it comes to convenience, CNM Student Services building takes the cake.
Doesn't have as many food choices, definitely. But yeah, all in all, I'd have to say CNM definitely has the convenience thing down.
These are only a few of the factors that students consider when making the decision about what school to go to. And luckily, it's easy for students to transfer from CNM to UNM and back and forth if they want. But most will agree that UNM certainly has more interesting characters roaming the campus. Reporting from UNM, I'm Kristen Bowers.
Every year, Americans honor special people on certain days. On March 31st, residents of Albuquerque honored Cesar Chavez by holding a march and a festival. Hundreds of people participated, and many were touched by the event. Christina Lovato explains.
There are those people who come in and out of our lives with great impact. Cesar Estrada Chavez was one of them. Chavez was a Mexican-American farm worker and civil rights activist who helped co-found the National Farm Workers Association, which is now known as the United Farm Workers. His work led to great improvements for union laborers and for farm laborers. Chavez is honored on his birthday, March 31st, all around the country, and in Albuquerque, a march and festival were held in his honor. Hundreds of people took part in the march, like Whisper Carpenter-Kish, a graduate student at UNM, who was thankful she took part in the event.
Good, it was good. I think that people underestimate the level of solidarity and comunidad that really does exist in Albuquerque, particularly on this side of the river. A lot of people underestimate this side of the community, and it just felt like such an honor because back home there was a lot of solidarity where I come from, and I really missed that over, at University of New Mexico and all that. So to be here is just lovely. It kind of makes me feel a lot more at home than I did before.
The march started at the Lopez Farm and ended at the National Hispanic Cultural Center. Eduardo Diaz, the executive director for the center, loves having events like this because the center gets involved with the community.
Well, we see ourselves as a community cultural center, and anytime we have an opportunity to welcome the community in to the center, we're happy to do so, and especially on a day like today in which we recognize and celebrate the achievements in the life of somebody of the stature and the importance to our community who is Cesar Chavez. We're also located on Cesar Chavez Street, on Avenida Cesar Chavez, so even then it would be important.
The event meant a lot to Diaz because he knew how much Chavez did for the community.
Cesar, who I had an opportunity to personally meet on several occasions, because I'm old enough to be able to say that, is someone who always recognized the importance of arts and culture as reflecting the true essence of the community that he was striving so hard to help.
In Albuquerque, New Mexico, I'm Christina Lovato.
The Rocky Mountain Collegiate Cycling Conference recently held its first event of the season in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Collegiate cyclists from around the country attended the 2008 Lobo Classic held at Balloon Fiesta Park. University of New Mexico's Matt Beck competed and placed 7th in his division. His top 10 finish in the first race has him looking forward to a strong season. 7 more races are scheduled for 2008 before the conference championships in May. The championships will be held at the University of Wyoming. Winners will go on to compete in nationals at Fort Collins, Colorado.
Papers, projects, and tests rule the lives of students during a school semester, but there's one test that some students should consider taking that isn't on any class syllabus. Katisha Mercier has the story.
It's a midterm test that you don't have to study for, but whose grade is most important, an STD test. Those returning from a wild spring break with an uneasy conscience should consider stopping by the Student Health Center and paying a quick visit to physician Peggy Spencer.
I would say that we tend to see a little bit of a rise in the people that come in for testing after spring break, both for STIs and pregnancy and trauma.
Shirley James Johnson, manager of the Health and Education Unit at UNM, offers counseling services to those being tested.
Our peer consulting services, these individuals are seniors and graduate students within their major. So when students need support and help, they come and see a peer consultant.
Nerve-wracking as they may be, STD tests are becoming much less invasive. Physician's assistant Lawrence Carrion explains.
It's painless, it's just doing a urine test. Now, what is painful is having an infection with symptoms. Those are very, very uncomfortable, both for the male and female.
And if the sex of the person administering the test is a worry,
when you call to make an appointment, you can specify. I want a male provider, I want a female provider.
As intimidating and uncomfortable the issue of sex may be for some, Carrion assures that it's completely natural.
But sexuality, I think, is something that is very important, is very healthy to talk about, and we just don't do it enough. Learning about sexuality, about diseases, and about relationships, and that's really important.
As complicated the subject of sexuality and its responsibilities may be, Spencer gives some advice.
There are no hard and fast rules, but asking the question and using your resources to find out.
For more information, contact the UNM Health Center. This is Katisha Mercier.
Reporter Katisha Mercier joins us in the studio today. Welcome, Katisha.
Thank you.
So, a little bit more about your story. Why is it so important for students to get tested for STDs after spring break?
Well, I think the most important thing about it is, and most notably why after spring break, is that so many people with the stresses of school, once spring break comes, just kind of really need to go out big for spring break. And a lot of underclassmen tend to go to Mexico where they're able to legally drink. And under all these influences, a lot of people make these choices that maybe shouldn't, and more importantly, forget to use things that they should, i.e. prophylactics. So I think that's why it's really important for people after spring break, after having a pretty wild weekend, to come and get themselves checked out.
And they can go to the Student Health Center to get tested, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The Student Health Center provides everything that they need, all kinds of screening for STDs. They also provide counseling for any trauma that may have occurred, and also counseling for taking the STD test in general. So.
Why do you think a lot of people don't take advantage of going to the Student Health Center and getting tested?
I think there's a social stigma that's attached to getting tested for STDs, and I think it's the reason why a lot of people are silenced when it comes to getting tested. A lot of people are worried about what people are going to think of them. Oh, it's dirty, or oh, they have all these like social names for the people who have gotten these STDs, if you will. And I think a lot of people are just afraid of getting stigmatized, and that's why I think there's such a silence.
Do you think there's a solution to the problem, to the stigma problem?
Absolutely. I think that just open discussion about getting tested and about just the general, sexuality of things. We're sexual beings, and it's something that needs to be discussed in an adult manner and with no judgment or bias.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us,
Thank you.
Katisha.
The general election is just around the corner, and UNM students are getting ready to cast their votes. Kemi Turpin sat down with UNM professor Michael Roca to talk about the impact the Democratic primaries have had on student voters.
And I'm here with UNM professor Michael Roca. He's going to give us a little insight into the election that's been going on here on campus and around the state. Welcome.
Thank you.
So, have you seen any changes in the students in your classes since the Democratic primary?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's a real sense of excitement surrounding the primaries and the election in general. Students are engaged. They seem more interested than ever before. They're participating in class at a level that I haven't seen in my 3 years here at UNM. And they're motivated. Attendance has been high. And I think I feel awfully lucky and fortunate to be teaching the presidency in a time as exciting as this, and I think the students are really responding to it.
Great. Do you think that the visits by President Clinton and Senator Obama impacted it at all? Do you think it pumped students up a little more?
Oh, absolutely. There was talk of turnout being average before Senator Obama, Bill Clinton, and Senator Kennedy made their appearances literally days before the primary, and then as soon as they came, that was a game changer, right? The attendance, the turnout skyrocketed, and just in the sheer anticipation of their visits here at UNM and in Albuquerque in general, I saw again a real sense of excitement from the students. I mean, you're talking about some politicians that have reached this unique level of celebrity status, and students are buying into it, and they're excited by it. Even those who aren't necessarily tied to the Democratic Party. Maybe a lot of Republicans were fired up about seeing President Clinton speak or Senator Obama. Like I said, there's a lot of motivation, and their visits here, which is a unique opportunity for all of us, was a big part of that.
Great. Well, thanks for visiting and telling us a little bit more about the politics on campus.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks. In 2006, the Mountain West Conference became the first collegiate conference to start its own television network. But many distribution problems have derailed the excitement around the regional network. Denny Kinzler explains.
But they got their offensive rebound from Mr. Glue.
For 2 years, there has been mixed emotions about the regional sports package for the Mountain West Conference. From the consumer side,
definitely sucks that you have to pay for it, and you should be able to watch your team for free.
And from the conference side, New Mexico's Vice President of Athletics, Paul Krebs, says there is something else wrong with the contract.
The real issue for me are the people who don't have access to cable because they live in a rural community. There isn't cable in their area. Those are the people that I think that we have an obligation to try and meet their demands or meet their needs.
The regional network was created for 3 reasons: more exposure for non-revenue or Olympic sports, greater control over scheduling, and most of all, money. Lots and lots of money.
Each school gets roughly $1.1 million.
University President David Schmidley says gone are the days where people get something for nothing.
The only thing you can say to those folks is there's no free lunch, and the world changes.
In your opinion, what has been the biggest obstacle with the new Mountain West contract?
The problem was they had an agreement with cable companies, and yet for much of our geographic region, access is through the satellites. And upon establishing the mountain, they had not reached agreement between the cable companies and the satellites to give full distribution. Okay, that to me is the biggest challenge.
What should have been done in the beginning with this contract?
Well, hindsight, being a Monday morning quarterback is the easiest thing in the world, and I'm not criticizing any of my colleagues, but I think if you pour pure hindsight onto this, the smartest thing to have done was to work through all the agreements, every single one of them, have them all signed, sealed, and delivered, and to know exactly what your distribution was worth before you agreed to form the network. Okay. What we did was we took a lot of things upon good faith, and the players changed. And none of these new players had agreed to anything. And that has slowed down this process of getting these agreements in place.
Do you think that this is a trend where conferences will start putting together their own conference networks or regional networks?
I think it is something that was thrown out there. You've got the Big Ten trying it. That's a big, powerful conference. Rumors are out there the SEC is going to try it. And then you've got a non-BCS conference, the Mountain, that's tried it. Okay? And I think once that's in place, people are going to sit back and see how it works. And then we'll know if it's a trend or not.
Krebs is quick to point out that the Mountain is not the only network facing these type of difficulties.
There was a very good decision the league made, a very entrepreneurial, kind of cutting-edge decision. I don't think anybody anticipated the struggles of getting the satellite distribution issue addressed. Just like I would probably suspect that nobody, when they formatted the Big Ten network, expected that cable, they got satellite on board right away, and the cable companies weren't buying in. I don't think they anticipated that. The NFL is the most powerful sports franchise there is, and they are struggling with distribution of the NFL network.
In the end, President Schmidley thinks the problems with the Mountain Conference will come down to one thing.
But when push comes to shove, this is all going to boil down to one thing: good old capitalism. Okay? And we're just going to have to see how it plays out. And I don't think anyone can say with any certainty right now.
This past February, DirecTV became partners with the Mountain West Conference and decided to air its network nationally. The hope is to have the deal finalized before September 1st, and those receiving the expanded basic package should receive the Mountain. The Lobos kick off their 2008 football season here at University Stadium on August 30th against TCU. That game will be broadcasted nationally on Versus. From University Stadium, I'm Danny Kinzler.
So, do you think C&J could come up with its own network and that much money?
I don't know about the money, but they could definitely get the viewers.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Ana Sanchez.
And I'm Kemi Turpin. See you next time.